What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined every Monday and Wednesday by my main man, Steven Thompson. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk or subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Today, we are recapping a very eventful week 2 of OTAs. George Pickens talking Pro Bowl already, or what should have been last season. Mark Robinson impressing early, and Marcus Golden shows up to Pittsburgh for the first time, speaks to media, and is very excited to be a member of the team that he went to dinner with at his pro day, which I think that's how we start this one off right here. If you have dinner with Mike Tomlin, you just immediately assume that at some point in your NFL career, you're going to end up in Pittsburgh. Is that what you're thinking here?
Yeah, apparently, if you eat dinner with Mike Tomlin, that's where you get your first jersey. That's where you get your roster spot. It's not when you get drafted. It's not when you sign your contract. It is when you share a steak with Mike Tomlin. Apparently,
yeah. At some point, they're just like, look, you're not going to end up here, but it's just hold it out. You got 10 plus years in you. We'll get you to Pittsburgh.
That's true.
At some point,
as long as you hang around, it might not be right away, but as long as you hang around for a few years, we'll get you at some point.
Yeah, it's all about the dinner. It's all about the dinner. It's a beautiful day out here in the Berg. It was a beautiful day yesterday watching some OTAs. I wore some black sunglasses. Everybody called me a cop. I don't know if you're a cop around players who are definitely our age, bad thing? I took it as immediate bad thing.
Yeah, I don't know if cop has necessarily a positive connotation when someone says
no,
I think whoever said that to you was trying to make fun of you. I'll put it that way.
No, they were. There's nobody. First off, nobody in the Steelers media ever says anything kind at all. It's always making fun of somebody. But yeah, I immediately was just like, "Oh, this is not the persona I'm looking for." Not nothing wrong. Go be a cop if you want to be a cop. But at Steelers football practice, I'm good with it. Like I said, beautiful day. How you feeling, my friend? I shouldn't even ask that.
I've gotten over it. You just kind of ignore it for a few days and then it just goes away and it doesn't. But once the finals start up again, I'll be like, damn, we should be here. But
yeah.
But
did it make it any better that it wasn't like close?
No.
It wasn't like a real
No.
Did it make it any better that Tatum? Did it make it worse? Because in my head, I was like, oh, Tatum gets hurt early. I'm angry the whole game.
Yeah, on the first play. And you're like,
yeah,
you spend your time, like, you spend the rest of the game, like, bargaining with yourself. Like, oh, well, maybe it's not that bad. Like, I've seen people twist their ankles before and, like, it's not that big a deal. They just got to walk it off. But just the rest of the game. And Reggie Miller and Stan Van Gundy would not shut up about it. They'd be every freaking time down the floor, they'd be like, oh, well, Jason Tatum's clearly hobbled. Well, it's like, yeah, man, I get it. We don't need to.
It's like, we know we're watching the game too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, that was a rough one. Once I saw him go down, I was like, oh, this is it's going to be a rough night. I tried to give you space. I kind of blame myself for that one because I said to everybody, actually, after we got off the podcast on Monday morning, I said, dude, I haven't brought up the Celtics since they started winning because I'm just like, they're winning. You don't just touch it. But when it was,
you don't look.
Yeah, but when it was 3-3, I was like, I got it. This is part of the job, I guess. But I kind of felt like that one was on me. So my bad. Who you rooting for? Denver, Miami. Who you going with?
Denver. I hate the Miami Heat with my entire heart. Like they might be one of my least favorite organizations in sports. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but I genuinely hate them so much. It is the fact that it was to them too was really, that was just.
Is that like a LeBron thing? Like hated them with LeBron, hated them with D Wade?
No, I hate them more now than I did when LeBron was there. Like they're just I don't like them at all. And it's I mean, we've just played so many close games against them and like had so many close series that it's impossible to have any kind of like for them, I guess.
Yeah, that happens. The Denver would be nice. It would be cool to see the Joker get one. I feel like he deserves one. Jamal Murray as well. I feel like he's a beast. Well, I could go Denver. I could root Denver. That's fine. Jimmy Butler is a dude, though. I won't lie. I think he's a dog.
Yeah, he shouldn't have gotten Series MVP though. Caleb Martin deserved.
No,
Caleb Martin got
Caleb
robbed.
Martin. Yeah, all day. That's name though. A lot of times, especially in the NBA, it's a lot of name, and that's Caleb Martin. 100. I don't even know who. Like, I didn't know who that was going into the series, and I agree that it should have been Caleb Martin, 100%. All right, let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football. OTAs, week 2, kicking off. Marcus Golden shows up at Pittsburgh practices for the first time. Said that he's very open to playing whatever role the Pittsburgh Steelers have for him. He does not care if it's backup behind TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, if it's mixed in with Nick Herbig. He's open to whatever. The last time he was a backup was 2 years ago. He had 11 and a half sacks that season. So obviously could be productive off the bench. You kind of look at it and everybody's going to immediately go to Melvin Ingram. This is the most high profile name that the Steelers have had at that third inside linebacker spot since Ingram left. Clearly didn't leave, on good terms. He showed up. I think he thought that he was going to have an opportunity to start over Alex Highsmith. That didn't happen. Then he ended up playing less and less snaps as the season went on. By the time week 8 rolled around, he was being traded. Do you look at this and say there's any worry with Golden, or you genuinely believe this guy's open to playing whatever at 32 years old?
Well, I think it's just the thing that gives me confidence that it's different is just Marcus Golden was not as big a name as Melvin Ingram was, I think. I think this was a really late signing in the summer for a reason. Marcus Golden, like you said, he was really productive coming off the bench in 2021, but was not the same player in 2022. And I think that kind of leads me to believe that Golden's really looking to not reinvent himself, but reinvent his career in a certain way and just find a winner to latch onto. He's
Yeah.
genuinely going to be grateful for this opportunity and try to make the most of it. It's different from Ingram, who I think thought, I want to be an impact player on any team. I think being an impact player for him was more important than kind of contributing. Not that it was more important than contributing to winning, but that he cared a little bit more about being a star and being a known player versus kind of just impacting the game and impacting a team. And I don't get that same sense from Marcus Golden.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like I took it as, and I think you like that's a good point. Is like Ingram didn't sign with Pittsburgh to win a Super Bowl. He signed with Pittsburgh to continue to play football and kind of prove it. But and you kind of got that vibe as he would speak to the media and just be like, a lot of people slept on me after the injury. I'm here to prove myself. Blah blah blah. Golden played on really bad teams his
Right.
entire career. Now gets an opportunity to come to Pittsburgh, a team that might have an opportunity to compete for something, even if it's not a Super Bowl. Like, the Steelers shouldn't be a bad team this season. Just looking for that opportunity, looking to play well. He also said that he, wanted to be in Pittsburgh his entire career. So to end up here, I think always helps. It just depends on, in my opinion, how much he's going to play. Because if you stick this guy out on the field for 5 to 10 snaps a game, which we have seen from time to time from that third outside linebacker, nobody's going to be happy, especially a guy who started all season last year, who was a huge contributor 2 years ago, who's never really sat on the bench the entire game ever in his career, to come in here and say, oh, here's 10 snaps, make the most of it. I think things get rocky there. But if you give him 20 to 25 snaps a game, you know what I mean, and you work in those 3 outside linebacker sets that you like to use, things change. And I think that he'll be comfortable with that whole situation. He also said that he's like known TJ for a while. He obviously played with Patrick Peterson, so they have a relationship there. That should, in my opinion, that should help at least some to say like, just become part of a family, and then the rest of it kind of works itself out.
Yeah. The one thing I'd say is, though, it's definitely not. This might be obvious, but it's not the Steelers' obligation to keep him happy. Like
No, no, no.
if he's not like if you put him on the field for 20 to 25 snaps, he's got to actually perform in those snaps, and it would be a blessing if he can take some pressure off of Alex Highsmith or TJ Watt and give you really good snaps in those snaps. But if he's not performing, then he's going to be unhappy with the snaps that he's getting, and that's not anyone's fault but his own.
Yeah, exactly. 100% agreed. And I think that was the thing with Melvin Ingram is, Melvin Ingram, when he came off the bench, or when he started, he was decent, but like he wasn't a superstar by no means. It's not like at any moment you were like, this guy should definitely be playing over Alex Highsmith. He was just mad that he wasn't playing over Alex Highsmith. And don't get me wrong, he went to Kansas City. He might have won a Super Bowl, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
and played very well. Then went to Miami, played very well. So he's clearly like his goal was the right goal. He made the right decision there. I don't think I get the same vibe from Golden. I kind of just think he's a guy who's happy to continue to play in his NFL career. It also takes a lot of pressure off of Nick Herbig, who's been talking about how he's been
Yep.
picking TJ Watt's brain for years now, since they're both Wisconsin products. They've worked out together for a long time. I think that having a veteran come off the bench, who's had success coming off the bench, is going to be huge to kind of assist a guy who shouldn't be playing a huge role this season, and to just be like, hey, this is how you should do this. This is how you take advantage of these short reps. This is how you become a distraction. I think it's very useful to have somebody to teach somebody to be a backup.
Yeah.
And if that's what Nick Herbig's going to be, like that's huge to have Golden in the building.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, there's an art to being a backup coming out cold, but still, or coming into the game cold and still making an impact on a game. I feel like there are a few guys on the Steelers that could really use some leadership like that and use some lessons in
Yeah.
that area. There's because obviously you've got the two main guys, and you need to.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, next big thing that stood out to start week 2 of OTAs was Mark Robinson, who intercepted Kenny Pickett, told the media afterwards, he was just like, I didn't even see who's throwing the football. Nameless gray faces. To me, I'm making the most of every opportunity. I think he truly believes that he's got a shot to like earn a starting job here in Pittsburgh. I think that also goes both ways. Why is Kenny Pickett throwing interceptions to Mark Robinson? That should not be happening. But at the same time, Mark Robinson coming up with the ball is huge, especially for a guy that we have big questions about whether or not he should be on the field during passing downs. Impressive. This is a guy that we've talked a couple of times this offseason. The Steelers' plan hopefully was for him to be involved in the defense as much as he possibly can to impress early. Do you, and I understand it's an inside linebacker, so you got to put pads on before you could say this guy's really good or not. But is it a good head start to say, well, if this guy's picking off team one plays, you know what I mean, and getting those first team reps and impressing during them, maybe there is a chance that he does come out here and actually does contribute in a pretty significant way this season.
Yeah, I mean, so you make the point of inside linebacker, you got to put the pads on. I don't think it's any question that Mark Robinson can hit. And I
Yeah.
think the idea that we have always we kind of collective Steelers media people who watch the Steelers kind of put Mark Robinson in a box a little bit. We had this impression of him as just a thumper, just guy who can't really cover, but he can really hit. This is huge. Like this is really huge. I mean, call it what it is. It's the second week of OTAs, first day of the second week of OTAs. Like it's not the most intense football he'll ever play, but what a way to get
Yeah.
off on the right foot, and really kind of announce yourself as saying, "Hey, I'm not just what everyone thinks I am. I'm a more versatile player. I am capable of this." It's a great way for him to get off on the right foot. I think that's it's. I maybe I'm putting more stock into it than I should, but I'm it kind of gets me excited.
Do you think that there's a real opportunity? Because Cole Holcomb is kind of being slow with his progression because of his foot surgery last season. The Steelers were very open about how they're going to work him in very slowly throughout the summer. His paycheck looks like he should be the first inside linebacker. Like he's
Mhm.
their guy for the next 3 years. Landon Roberts, at the same time, he's been impressive. I think he is a thumper, a guy who's 30 years old who comes off with both starting and off the bench experience. Do you think Mark Robinson actually has a real opportunity this summer to kind of earn a starting job, like to beat one of these two out?
Well, the window's open. If he can keep doing this in OTAs, then you put the pads on at training camp, and I think anything can happen, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Might not be a starting job. I think that's a real, real, real long shot still, but
Yeah.
he's gonna, with every good day he logs, he'll earn himself another snap in the regular season.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I think that the Steelers are realistic about the situation and saying, why would we pressure somebody into a starting role when we have two starting capable inside linebackers? But if Mark Robinson could be the guy that, I mean, Landon Roberts is here for 1 year, assumingly.
Mhm.
If Mark Robinson could prove that he's the guy next, and 2 years into his career, it's not like you're like, oh, why are we waiting and holding out on Mark Robinson? He's a second year, 7th round pick. If this guy develops in 2 years, that's crazy. Like that's more impressive than anybody else. I mean, Calvin Austin's entering his second year, and I think Mark Robinson already has a little bit of an upper hand on this guy just because he's got some playing experience compared to a 4th round pick. There's all these guys, like you could be the other side of it. Kendrick Green seemingly is digressing with each year. Dan Moore is about to possibly lose his starting job in year 3. This is very, I want to say, exciting. It should feel very good for Steelers fans to know that, like, maybe this is the next Vince Williams. Maybe this is the next late round pick that turns into something, even if it's not an all pro inside linebacker. If you're a starting capable inside linebacker for the next 5 to 7 to 10 years, you're pretty impressed with what Mark Robinson could do. So to get that upper hand, to kind of look really good, to have the right mentality, I think another thing here is like, I think getting rid of Devin Bush is huge for Mark Robinson. Like huge to just kind of say, like, I think in my personal opinion, and this is all it is personal opinion, but I think Devin Bush was a bit of a cancer in any locker room that he's in. I don't think that he wanted to be in Pittsburgh. I don't think he wanted to have the drive to succeed in Pittsburgh. I think he was ready to get out of here. That's not somebody that you want to teach a very influential late round pick who's trying to turn into something. Their lockers were right next to each other. Wasn't a great situation. Now you got guys. I mean, Mark Robinson's locker is like 2 away from Patrick Peterson, and on the other side is Najee Harris. You know what I mean? Like, you now have guys to kind of mold this dude. Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts, who are both, if I heard, very good, influential, team leader type guys. To have those guys in the locker room now, I think that helps a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this will be a big year for Mark Robinson, and it's at a position that we thought that some thought didn't have a ton of depth behind it. Not that you maybe need a ton of depth, but this is just a big and it's. I think that's a really good point about it's a real different situation that he's in. Like the
Yeah.
difference between Robert Spillane and Devin Bush being at the top of that room versus Cole Holcomb and Landon Roberts, and then also, um, uh,
Tanner Muse,
yeah, like,
who's been a captain in the past, I'm almost positive.
yeah, absolutely. Like this is it's a very different crop of linebackers that are kind of taking the lead there, and hopefully Mark
Yeah.
Robinson can follow behind him.
Yeah, 100%. Aaron Curry steps in here, former guy, former first round pick who's been a coach. I think Aaron Curry's been very impressive. I'm not allowed to say what Aaron Curry has been doing, but
Mhm.
I think he's been very impressive at inside linebacker. Or as an inside linebacker coach. Like, yeah, I think it's a very quiet, it was a very quiet, put all the pieces in place for this guy to succeed offseason for the Steelers. They did it for Kenny Pickett to a degree. They've done it for Calvin Austin, George Pickens, Najee Harris, the whole nine. Mark Robinson, they built a little community around this guy to
Yeah,
say, hey, let's turn you into something. How raw are you? Let's make you better. You got to remember, this guy's only been playing inside linebacker for 3 years. One of them's in the NFL, and he got starting experience. So
right.
it's worth something to the Steelers. I will say this though, like when you say like they still do probably need to add depth, I agree with you, because I was watching the room yesterday and you like realize very quickly that the Steelers keep 5 inside linebackers. They only have 5 inside linebackers on the team. Summer's coming. Are you ready to unveil your beach bod? Manscaped is here to ensure your body is ready for the wild with their game-changing full body grooming and hygiene products. Don't be the guy at the beach with the Austin Powers chest hair, and if you grew some winter man tits, the least you can do is make sure that they're hairless. It's time to get ready for the hot guy summer by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with our code STEELERS20. Look I'm full blown Italian as it comes. And man, let me tell you, I need Manscaped every single summer. Manscaped is dedicated to helping you increase your confidence and level up your full body grooming game with their Performance Package 4.0. The kit comes with the essential Lawnmower 4.0, waterproof cordless body trimmer, and a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your grooming routine. Whether you're trimming your chest or the treasure chest in your pants, this is the best trimmer on the market. Their trimmer features a ceramic blade designed to cut hair on loose skin and to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. You could even trim an arrow pointing to the promised land if you're bold enough. Inside the Performance Package, you'll find the Manscaped Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, because we know how painful chafing can be when you're wearing your bathing suit all day long. No one likes nose hairs, so their package also comes with the Weed Whacker 2.0. You also get 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag, a $39 value add, and the patented high performance reduced chafing Manscaped boxers. Excuse me. When I get that excited about a product, I just can't talk. If you're wearing sandals, you need to get the Manscaped Shears 2.0 nail kit. Having the right tools for grooming is essential. Do yourself a favor and always use the right tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with our code STEELERS20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with our code Steelers20 at manscaped.com. Trim your chesticles with the besticles. There's no competition for the end of that depth chart. Like
Right.
none. Like Chappelle Russell is going to make the team right now, the guy that spent our last season on the practice squad. And that's okay if he's good enough to make the roster, but you have to have some type of competition to say,
Yeah.
maybe you shouldn't make the roster. Maybe you
Right.
should. You got to earn your spot. Like you should not just be handed anything. And I think that I don't know who they add without taking away from Mark Robinson, but
Right.
you gotta add somebody, an undrafted guy, somebody before the summer.
Yeah. Something to
You got to
measure.
add to that room.
Yeah, just something to measure him against. Like you need a
Yes.
yeah. Someone's got it. It's unfortunate, but someone's got to be on the practice squad. Someone's got to get cut. Like it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've just 5 guys all summer long, and then you're just like, all right, well, you guys did a good job. Go ahead into the regular
You guys
season.
are here. You guys showed up.
Yeah. And like, what if somebody goes down? You got Tanner Muse and Mark Robinson starting at inside line. Like, that's not ideal
Yeah.
at all. Chappelle Russell starting inside. That's as bad as it gets for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you definitely need, and again, it doesn't have to be a big name, but you bring an inside linebacker that didn't go drafted or just got cut from somewhere. I think it makes a huge difference. All right. Last thing I want to talk about, George Pickens came out and said that he was quote unquote snubbed. He believes that he was snubbed from the Pro Bowl last season, said that the guys that were there did not excite him. Just a reminder, the people that did make the Pro Bowl for the AFC last season, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, and Stephon Diggs. I mean, I think we could both agree that he didn't deserve to make a Pro Bowl last season. And I think that George Pickens had a great year, was very impressive. He met pretty much all the expectations that I wanted him to meet for a guy who didn't really have a quarterback or an offensive coordinator that were worth anything in my eyes. Shouldn't have made the Pro Bowl. Do you look at this as like a good and like, oh, okay, a little bit of a motivation, or are you like, okay, let's calm it down and let's get a little bit of humbleness before we start getting outrageous with our takes?
Well, this doesn't exactly sound like motivation to me. This sounds like expectation. This sounds like I've already arrived. I'm here and I deserved this. When it was pretty evident that he didn't. Um, Look, I like George Pickens. I think he'll be a good player, but this just feels like getting ahead of ourselves. He showed flashes of greatness last year. He was not a great player.
Yeah.
And that's understanding that the offensive situation he was in wasn't ideal. I'm not here to like trash George Pickens. I think again, like I think he'll be a good player, and I think he'll have a good season this year. But like the numbers are the numbers, man. They do not lie. You are not Jamar Chase or Devontae Adams or Stephon Diggs or Tyreek Hill. At least not yet. Like you got a long way to go before you get there. And part of not making that Pro Bowl was the guys that were in front of you. These are a few guys who might make the Hall of Fame by the end of their
Yeah.
career.
Yes. I
So
think all 4 of them probably will.
yeah, so
Yeah. 3 out of 4, maybe.
yeah. So I don't know. Don't take that as offense. Just say, wow, there are a lot of good players in front of me. If I want to be in the upper echelon of receivers in the AFC, I've got to work really hard and I've got to really actualize. I've got to realize this potential that I have and realize this potential everyone thinks I have, not just say that my potential equals production and that I don't really need to work I don't need to work more to get to this point.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I think he teeters on that line and I think that line is very fine when it comes to wide receivers. Of you have to be the most cocky human being on the football field. Like you have more confidence, overconfidence than anybody else that's around you. That's just who a wide receiver is. But at the same time, like like if this was a quarterback, if this was Kenny Pickett talking, he would say, I want to get to that point. If this was Najee Harris talking, he'd say, I want to get to that point. If it was most wide receivers, they'd probably have the same response as George Pickens of, yeah, I probably should have made the Pro Bowl, like, yeah, I think I'm the best in the NFL. And they kind of like in their head in a twisted way, that's them like being like, I'm gonna just show the world how good I am this season. But again, it's a very fine line between how often are you going to do this? How concerning is it that you think that you're already there? And how much are you going to use this to motivate you? Because if it's if this guy is going to show up and become the best wide receiver in Pittsburgh this season and just become a superstar, and the work ethic is going to be outrageous, and this is a George Pickens we've never seen before, cool. Then I'm glad that that's how he said it. If he just said it because he definitely believes it, and just like you said, potential over play, it's a very concerning place to be for. But again, like that line is,
Right.
what I mean? Like the mind of a wide receiver is different.
Yeah, it's a razor thin line. But also if it was like, I think I'm just as good. If it was it, and this is semantics to a certain extent, which can
Yeah, but with wide receivers, it's awesome. Like
right,
that's what I'm saying. You teeter
right,
with every word that comes out of their mouth.
right. But if he said, "I think I'm as good as those guys. I need to show it on the field, and I really want to make a Pro Bowl," and
Yes.
that'll be like that's completely different from I was better than these guys, and I should have made it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they didn't excite me. They should have excited
Yeah,
you.
that's a
Jamar Chase should
great.
have excited you.
Yeah, that's a crazy line. Like you played against 3 of these guys at least. Yeah, 3.
All four of
Oh,
them.
all 4 of them. Yeah, you saw
All
them.
four of them got smoked by the Bills. You beat Devontae Adams, so I'll give you that one. You lost to Miami with Tyreek Hill, and you went 1 for 1, 1-1 against the Bengals. And Jamar Chase, I'm pretty sure, had a touchdown or at least a touchdown against you in game 2.
Right. Like these guys played real well against you. Like you saw it up close and personal how good they are. To say they don't excite, I don't know. Like going back to the theme of the Celtics, poking the bear. Don't want to do
Yeah,
that. Like don't like
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
you can say you're a good player without I think disrespecting players who are obviously better than you. Like that was
Yes,
kind of a wild statement to me.
yes, I 100% agree. Like, there's no reason to say, oh, well, Jamar Chase didn't excite me when you got to play Jamar Chase twice a season forever. Devontae Adams might be the best wide receiver outside Justin Jefferson, maybe might be the best wide receiver in football. Maybe
I love
top
Devontae
3.
Adams.
Yeah,
He's won me like 2 fantasy leagues, so I
yeah.
will never say a bad word about that man.
That's what I'm saying. He's like, you name the top wide receivers. If somebody was like, I'm going to argue Devontae Adams, you're going to be like, okay, well, like chances are I'm not going to be able to out argue you
Yeah.
long enough to prove you wrong. You know what I mean? Tyreek Hill's been doing this forever. Like there's no need to, just like you said, poke the bear. Don't disrespect the people who have been here and been doing it and I don't think he meant to. I don't think that,
Mhm.
again, like I think that line is so fine that I think in his head it was just like, this is just what this is. My thoughts are these guys aren't exciting without thinking they're going to hear this. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
going to make national news. It is going to make national news, and it's going to come off as concerning, and fans are going to get worried about it, and people are going to make a big deal out of it like we are, because it's worth making it. Like the Steelers have already done this. They've already had the wide receiver that doesn't want to acknowledge anybody else but himself, who would say these things and genuinely mean them. You don't want that second guy. You don't want that. You just had that guy, and again, Devin Bush. Like Devin Bush was I don't need to prove anything. I was already a top 10 pick. What do you talk? Yes, you do. You have to prove
Right.
everything. You're a top 10 pick. That's who you are trying to avoid, that human being at all costs. And again, maybe he comes in here and it's like the total opposite, and he just, he is using it as motivation. He just doesn't know how to.
Verbalize it, yeah.
Yeah. The way he's verbalizing it isn't being taken the way that he sees it, possibly. But again, that line is so thin, and with wide receivers, it is, especially wide receivers who, like, George Pickens isn't afraid to talk. He isn't afraid to. He's had his on the field struggles when it comes to his attitude, I guess. I think George Pickens is a good person, but there's been some worrisome signs in the past. So you don't want to see those worrisome signs. You want all that to go away.
Right.
You just want him to be you want him to be Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson's a spitting image of who you should be as a
Mhm.
wide receiver.
Yeah, like and especially as like, look, if he realizes this potential and he is actually the superstar that he thinks he is, in my mind, he can talk all he wants. Like, who cares?
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
for right now, let's keep it to ourselves and let's let the play to the talking. I feel like that's the better method for a guy going into his second year after. Uh, I'm not afraid to call it an underwhelming rookie year. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
he had some
800 yards,
right.
a couple of touchdowns, a couple of really cool catches, but like if you weren't making those crazy catches, like kind of quiet,
Right.
kind of just coasting. Yeah, I agree. But that's the thing. Like, I think that, and I agree, because I think he could be better than Stephon Diggs. Like, I think he could be better
Yeah.
than some of these guys. And I would like to see that. I want to see that year 2. And again, I think Kenny Pickett's got a ton to do with if he's going to be that good or not. But I think that the opportunity is definitely there, and you want to see him grasp that opportunity instead of
Think
saying anything else.
right. Instead of thinking that he
Last
already has.
thing,
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I want to bring up here that's it has nothing to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I guess one guy on there is a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and they're all from Pittsburgh, so that's fun enough. The Pat McAfee show, the numbers just got released as we were talking here. He's coming off a 4-year, $120 million deal with FanDuel, signed with ESPN, which is getting plenty of backlash. And as somebody who watches the Pat McAfee show, like I don't watch it religiously, but I do enjoy the Pat McAfee show. I'm a little skeptical about him going to ESPN. I didn't take it the best way. I was like, oh man, that stinks. Like
Yeah. I get what you mean.
it
Like,
stinks.
it's just
Yeah.
when you go to ESPN, you're kind of
Yeah.
not.
Corporate.
Yeah, exactly. Corporate is a good sanitized. You're
Yep.
not. It's not going to
Yes.
be as authentic, I think, as
Yeah.
other
They
shows.
even said they're like, we're not going to use the F word. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Like, that's half the reason I watch this show is because you use the F word and I enjoy it. Anyways, they signed 4-year, $120 million. They canceled that deal with FanDuel. They're now going over to ESPN. 5 years, $85 million. You took a $40 million hit and added a year to your deal to
To make a
go over to
worse
ESPN.
to make a worse show. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
That
What are you doing? What do you do? Like there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh, they sold out. They sold out." I think they sold out a little bit, but
you can't sell out when you're making less money.
but
That
yeah, like you can't
that
sell
like
when you're making
doesn't.
like I just don't understand what the idea. I guess the idea was like Pat doesn't want to be as involved anymore. Like he wants to be like, he's a dad now. He wants to
Mhm.
just like not have all the pressure and everything. I don't know. I don't know.
That is a little excuse me. That is a little disappointing. Like, he is, you love authentic voices excuse me. Who
Steven can't talk right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got
Frog in the throat.
um but you like authentic voices in media, and Pat was a really authentic one, so I hope he's at least
Yeah,
able to maintain some kind of semblance of that.
that's what I'm saying. And like to lose $35 million, that's upsetting.
Yeah.
That's definitely it's upsetting to see. I didn't, if it was like, I thought it was going to be a ridiculous amount of money. It's actually like, I think it makes the situation in my eyes a little bit worse to know that you sold for less money,
Right.
like for less money. And then what comes that, I don't know. That is very, yeah.
That is
Oh, I guess. Okay. So I guess this is part of that. ESPN is also going to cover the production costs and pay the employees on his show
Oh,
that he has contracts on.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess that,
That makes sense. That makes more sense.
yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah,
they're
that
doing
makes it
that.
better.
That,
Yeah. But still, like, you're telling me that,
why wasn't FanDuel doing that?
that they were with $35 more million
I guess
because
yeah, that's true.
I don't think it costs.
Yeah.
I don't think it costs $35 million. Like what? Because it would be less because you added a whole other year, so you're now 5 years
Yeah.
negative $35 million. Like I'm sorry, but chances are that within that year you're not spending $35 million on employees and production costs.
Yeah.
Maybe we're running a really bad show here. But I don't think that it does. I don't think that it costs
Well, if
that
you ever
much
have
money.
$35 million, don't be afraid to give it to me.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to sell out. If we have $35 million, we're gonna put it all towards the show. We're just gonna be us with ginormous microphones,
Yeah, there we
huge
go.
ones, that just like VR. We'll just wear VR helmets and we'll have the show in VR. All of our listeners will get them because we could buy them
Hell yeah.
with $35 million. The 10,000 people a week that listen to the show would be like, here, you get a free VR helmet because we have more money than we know what to do with. I don't know. I mean, I guess at $85 million, am I upset that I lost $35 million?
Yeah,
Probably not.
splitting hairs a little bit, but
Yeah. Like, oh man, can't buy that second spaceship, I guess.
right.
Rats. Yeah. So I don't know, but a bit shocking numbers. So I hope it works out because I just, it took me a long time to find a middle of the day sports show that I didn't just get annoyed with after like
You're not an undisputed
45
guy?
minutes.
Not a first take?
No. No. I've actually never watched a single episode of Undisputed. Never will, because
I
Skip is
watched like
just the worst.
I watch segments of it. Like sometimes I'll put it on. I have like a TV in the background here, and I'll like put it on while I'm working just to. I don't know. It does annoy me, but I get to yell about why it annoys me, and no one challenges me on my points. So it's sometimes fun like
So
that.
that works out.
Yeah.
That works out. No, I can't do skip thing. First take, no way. Not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I I lost first take after like the skip and Stephen A. I could honestly like I thought like I could deal with that, because I was like, this is terrible, but like
Mhm.
it's whatever. But like once Max, whatever his name was, came on there, I
Yeah.
was like, this is as bad as it gets. And it hit a point where like Stephen A was just like, Max, you're an idiot. And I'm like, he is, but you don't have to say it to him. Like, geez,
Right.
Louise. Yeah, it was no. I watch Get Up every once in a while,
Mhm.
but Pat McAfee show, man, that and the Rich Eisen show
Hmm.
they're the only ones that got me. Then the Dan Patrick, the
Yeah,
OGs,
yeah, yeah.
obviously, but they're just, they're different. That's
Mhm.
the old school. They still know what they're doing there.
Yeah.
They're not ESPN. That's
Yeah.
what they're not.
Yeah.
And we're probably never getting an ESPN deal because of this segment, but
Damn.
I think that's okay.
I
Yeah,
really
no,
thought we
not
were on
selling
the
out for the
verge of
fans.
one. I thought we were
Yeah,
this. I thought we were this close.
no, not this show. We're not. Nobody's selling out over here. You could offer me $85 million all you want. No, I take that back. If they offer us $85 million, we're going to ESPN. So,
Hell yeah.
with that said, ESPN,
It's
we're
on the
here. We're
table,
ready.
ESPN. Balls
Yeah,
in your
and we
court.
already have microphones and cameras. Well, we use our phones, but still, we already have microphones. We're doing just fine, and people like us. So, with that, we're heading out of here, and hopefully going to receive some phone calls from some big production agents that want to sign us after this episode. With that said, congratulations, Pat McAfee. I hope everything works out over there. I'm heading back to practice. We'll have plenty more for you come Friday. Everybody, thank you for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. Like this video and find all of mine and Steven's work at allsteelers.com and our pit coverage at insidethepanthers.com. I will be back on Friday with Derek. Enjoy another beautiful week in the Berg. Peace.